Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Krista, and I'm with Faber-Castell. And joining us, who will be leading the workshop, is Leigh Ralston, also known as I Am Mommy Leigh. And she will be leading you through the watercolor lettering exercise. Today, a little bit about the materials that Leigh will be using. She's going to be using our Albretch Durer watercolor pencils. These are available at Michaels and on the Michaels website. They're offered in 120 colors, so surely you can find something that will work for your project today. Also, she'll be using a Pitt artist pen. This is a water-based India ink pen, so you can use it in conjunction with watercolor paints and they won't smudge or smear. And then also our water brush that she'll be using to blend all of her paints. If you have any questions today, you can go ahead and post those in the chat, and I will do my best to answer all of your questions for you as we go along the activity. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Leigh to lead the workshop.
All right. Hello, everyone. Hello. We're seeing a lot of people here. Okay. Hi, Shirley. Hi, Liz. Hi, Allie. Hi, Tina. Just so you guys know, we are also doing a live broadcast on Facebook. So I'd like to say hello to everyone watching on Facebook Live on Michael's Facebook page. Hello, everyone. My name is Leigh Ralston. I'm also known as Mommy Leigh all over the internet. And I can't explain and express how excited I am to be doing this workshop today in behalf of, Faber-Castell, and of course, hosted by Michaels. Before we start, I just want to say that this video is being recorded, first of all, and also that something, this is live and something might go wrong a little bit here and there. So be patient with us if ever that happens. And also, I am super excited to be doing this workshop because we're going to be basically covering two things. We're going to try and learn some basic lettering today. And then we're going to be doing some rainbow coloring, ombre, gradient, however you want to say that, using the watercolor pencils from Faber-Castell. So if you are excited and if you are ready, I hope you guys have some tools and materials with you. I'll be using some watercolor paper pad. I'll be using some copy paper just so we can go through the basics of lettering, and also using a lot of Faber-Castell stuff. I also have some paper towels in here and a bowl of water, because we're going to be using that when we're using the watercolor pencils. So when you're ready, let's go head on over to our overhead camera that we hope cooperate with us today. So here we go. All right. So hello, everyone, New Jersey, North Carolina, Colorado. All right. Super excited. Okay. So like what I said, we're going to be learning the basic of lettering. Usually this takes a whole workshop, an hour long, but we're going to cover everything that you need to know with basic lettering. And also, if you go over to Michael's YouTube, we did a lot of workshop as well that covers everything that you need to know about the brush lettering. So for this one, I'll be using the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pens. Like what Krista said, these are India ink. So if you are a journaler, if you are a planner, if you love lettering, then I think you will really love these markers, because these markers do not bleed through. So I am a planner junkie, and so I really always on a hunt for markers and pens that will not bleed through my planner pages and my journaling pages as well. So India ink is really great at that. At the same time, they are also light fast, which means that your markers and your artwork and your letterings will last a lifetime. They said over 100 years, right? So, okay. So I'm going to just grab some copy paper in here. These are some of the questions that I always get asked as well. What kind of paper do I use for lettering? Do you need fancy paper? You actually don't. At the same time, you do as well. When it comes to brush pens or brush lettering, it is important to have a very smooth paper. Some of the smooth paper that I love are Rhodia pads, and also the copy paper, which is a HP laser paper. This is the 32-pound paper, and this is really smooth, and it's not going to hurt your brush pens. So it is important to try and get smooth paper as as much as you can. Try to use them, and I think it's really important to not hurt your nib, because after a while you're going to scratch it if you're not using a smooth paper. But also the Pitt Artist pen, the way it this, I'm just going to zoom in real quick so you guys can see. We're not going to do it, but I'm going to show you the nib of this pen. What happens is that this is reversible. So for example, you frayed this brush tip already. You can get a tweezer and just pull it and then turn it around, and there's another nib that you can use in there. So basically you're getting two markers in one. So I think that's really, really a great bonus. Okay, so let's learn a little bit about the brush lettering. Here we go. We learned about smooth paper is really required. Well, if you want your brush pens to last longer. So brush lettering, you've seen this, you're seeing this all over the internet. Pinterest, Instagram, YouTube, everyone is obsessed. And I fell in love with brush lettering about 6, 7 years ago. And I am still as in love now as I was 7 years ago. Now, the basic principle really of brush lettering is like mimicking the old calligraphy style. So the old nib, what it does is that it's a flexible nib. So what it does is that it creates the thin and the thick line. So when people are using the old calligraphy, they can create like beautiful flourishes and the thin and the thick. So that's the calligraphy. But with the brush pen, the way to really create that thin and thick, it all depends on the pressure that you apply using your markers. First of all, let's start by very simple technique, but is super helpful. Tilting your paper to the left. Now, if you're a righty, you want to tilt your paper to the left. Now, if you're a lefty, what you're going to do is tilt it to your right, because you're going to write this way. So I am a right-handed, so I'm going to tilt it just a little bit to my left. Now, when I said to create the thin and thick is all about the pressure. Now let's talk about that, right? So this is the best and simple way that I can describe how to get the thin and thick line. So when going upstroke, which means that you're going away from your body. So every single time you're doing a stroke away from you, think of it as you have to go really, really light, right? Away from you is light. Now, when every time you do a stroke towards you, this is where you apply pressure. That way. Pressure means you're applying pressure in your marker, so you're bending your nib. Can you see the nib is bending a little bit that way? Okay, so there are some basic strokes that you can practice at home to get used to the thin and the thick. And this is really important. Again, you can watch some of our past workshop that covers a whole lot of this. So the simple and strokes that you can practice at home is that just simple diagonal lines. So try it when doing upstroke. That means you're really going light. I am barely applying pressure in the tip of my pen. You can try it the downstroke also. So this means is, see how my pen is also relatively kind of like 45-degree tilted. All right. So make sure that you're not using your marker this way. You know how when we write naturally, we just, but this time when you're doing brush calligraphy, you want to make sure that your wrist is very well rested on the table and that your pen is relatively 45 degrees. And this way, when you're doing your upstroke, you're bending your pen and you're going to create that thicker line because the nib of your pen is bended. So you're using the body. So when you're doing upstroke, you're basically using just the tip of your marker. So how do we do it when we're doing one stroke with a thin and thick? Away from you, thin. Towards you, pressure. See? Away from you, light pressure. Towards you, heavy pressure. Away from you, light pressure. Towards you, heavy pressure. The same thing, even when it's a U, when that was a U upside down. Now let's do this one. So we're going to do towards me, I'm going to apply pressure, and away from me, I'm going to have very light pressure. All right, let's try that again. Towards me, heavy pressure. Away from me, light pressure. So downstroke, upstroke, downstroke, upstroke. Let's review a little bit. So upstroke means light pressure. This is our upstroke. Downstroke, heavy pressure. Now, one important thing to also understand when you're trying to learn brush lettering is that really find out what feels natural to you. All right. So, for example, I am really heavy handed. So, when I write, just, write anything, I know I have really heavy pressure. So what happens is that the heavy pressure comes very natural to me. But when I'm doing a light pressure, that is when I have to constantly remind myself, okay, I need to go light, 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 light as a feather. But the more you do your practice strokes that way, the more you do it, the thin and the thick, the thin and the thick. I know sometimes it's, a pain to kind of, I'm just doing lines over and over again, but really this is where before you work out, you stretch, right? So what you're doing here is this is your practice. And really what happens is that you're building a muscle memory. When you build that muscle memory, you don't have to constantly remind yourself that, oh my God, I am going towards me, I have to go light. Or, I mean, I'm going away from me, then I have to go light. I'm going towards me. After a while, you no longer have to do that. Basically, you're going to build the muscle memory, and your hand, will remind your brain to say, okay, lay, so let's do heavy pressure when going down, light pressure going up. All right, so heavy pressure going down, light pressure going up. And this is just letter A. Another one I would like to add before we start coloring and creating the rainbow lettering is that once you practice your basic strokes, you're going to understand that all of this practice strokes or lines, this is what compose the letters. So you have to practice with your oval like this, basically a letter O. So let's try that again. Let me just move this one over. So when I do a letter O, I'm going to do heavy going down, go really light, right? So add this to your practice strokes. So what if I need to create a letter A? Basically, you're going to use this stroke that you practice, and then this is another stroke. So that and that equals to letter A. So simple lines and simple strokes are what's going to be used when you're composing your letters. So, all right, so let's just try a letter B. So it's just your heavy downstroke, and then this time toward away from you, so I'm going light. And this time I'm going to apply pressure here. That's my letter B. So it's kind of like the opposite of this one. So away, light, then heavy, and then light again. So away, light, heavy, like that. So when you're looking at things online on Instagram, like if you're following me on Instagram, you see my lettering videos, please know that those are being, um, it was recorded in a time lapse, which means that it's going fast. So, but in real life, I don't go really fast like that. So that's very important to understand and remember also that go one stroke after the other. So it's just, try not to stress yourself and overwhelm yourself. Know that it's just going slow is okay. So one stroke after the other. So going light, letter S. But after a while, understanding, when you build your muscle memory, you're also going to understand what feels natural most to you. So if you're going to do a line or an upstroke, in the beginning, I was doing really slow. And the more I kept practicing and the more I kept practicing, I understand and really learned that when I go really, really slow when going my upstroke, I feel like my lines are even more wiggly and it's very inconsistent. I get inconsistent strokes when I go super slow. So I'm doing a medium speed now when I'm doing my upstroke, and I feel like I get more consistent line when I go a little fast than going really slow, and I feel like it's a bit more shaky. But then it's always going to be a personal preference, whichever feels most natural to you. So it's all going to be different. To you, the upstroke might feel more natural and more, you'll do it more effortlessly than how I would do it. And that's okay because, maybe you really write light. And so that's that way the upstroke will be more natural. So with me, the downstroke is natural because I have heavy pressure. All right, so let's just try and go through the letters real quick before we start with the rainbow lettering because that's what's going to be fun. All right, I'm just going to go do my small letters. I'm trying to be on frame. All right. So I'm going to do my letter A. If you have a brush pen with you, if you'd like to just kind of follow along and we can do the small caps letter. So I did A downstroke and then light, and then I'm just going to add this line. And the more you practice, the more you're going to learn new techniques and you can add flourishing and then you're going to have to learn better compositions for your lettering. But before you get there, don't overwhelm yourself. Just one step at a time. Try to get familiar with your stroke thin and thick first before you want to start lettering a whole page and all that. Another tip that I'd like to share with you is find a word that you don't mind writing over and over again, or even your name, your child's name. Um, so try to find one word that you want to write over and over and that you can practice your thin and thick line. Heavy pressure and go really light. When I started, this is how I started my letterings. They're not connected yet. So I didn't want to worry about connecting them. I just want to make sure that I am getting consistent line when it comes to the thin and the thick, because that's where the variation would, that's where you're going to see the difference from just a regular lettering to a brush modern calligraphy lettering. So you can always just keep your stroke simple. Like for the letter H, you don't have to do the loop yet. You could just start with the heavy downstroke and just apply your upside down letter U. So with the I, and this is another information that I'd like to share. I love writing small letters than the capital letters. I don't know, for some reason, I don't like writing the letter F, letter I and J in the capital. For some crazy reason, I just don't like them. They're not my favorite. Maybe you're like me, you have a favorite letter that you like to write over and over again. One word suggestion, you might want to try and write the word blessed over and over, because the letter B and then the S are really good practice for your loops and all that. So where am I? L, M. I promise I know my ABCs. M is a really good one to practice. Let's try that again. So downstroke, heavy, upstroke, light, and then heavy. Repeat the same thing, light stroke, and then heavy. And then you can just add that thing. Letter N. The more you practice this, the more you're going to really understand that, oh, I can do this or I can do that. And also having a reference is really great. And there's a lot of books out there, a lot of free workshop like what Michael's are doing and Faber-Castell are doing, a lot of information now that you can look at. And also we create handouts or worksheets that for our workshops. And so that way you can have a reference of the letters. And of course, Pinterest is really a great place to go also. See that letter U? Now letter V. See, that's fancy. You can just do a downstroke and then just an upstroke for now while you're practicing. W is also good because basically you're doing your letter U's twice. You can do that. X, I didn't like this letter X, but when I figured out how to do it, then I started liking the letter. In the beginning, I'm like, how do you do that? See, let's try to do that again. So it's kind of like slanted. So I go from here and then I go light pressure there. And then I start from the bottom over here. And that's just light pressure, just basically going up. Y. And then this stroke right here, the letter J, you'll be doing that a lot too for the Y, for the G, so you'll be practicing this way. So kind of like downstroke, heavy, go really light pressure, use the tip of your pen and go up like letter Z. See, I was thinking, I was going to say that the letter Z is like a number 3 and I was doing a number 3. Okay, so basically like this. So light to heavy, and then light to heavy, but then kind of like doing that loop that we were doing earlier. So like that. So those things are going to have to practice the thin and the thick, and also the consistency of your letters, how big they are and how short are they going to be. But to me, what you need to practice first is just be consistent with your thin and then thick, making sure that there's a difference from your thin and the thick line. Let's, for examples like this. See, there's no difference from the thin and the thick because I was applying heavy pressure all throughout. So to get that is light to heavy, and then light again. So light to heavy, and then light again. And again, when you build that muscle memory, it's going to come naturally to you. You're not going to light to heavy, light to heavy. So basically, you'll just know when to press on a little bit and give pressure to your pen, and then create that thick stroke. All right, so let's try and write the word rainbow, because this is what we're going to do. So for the watercolor pencils, later we're going to be using a watercolor paper because it really just, you get the best result when you're working with anything with water, gelatos, watercolor markers, and then watercolor pencils. It's just, you're going to get the best result when you use a watercolor paper for it. So because those paper are supposed to be used with water. All right, so let's write the word rainbow. So basically letter R, go light because you're going away from you. We'll do the loop. Stop here. And then I'm applying pressure. You know what? Let me do this in black first. Let's try that again. So away from me, I'm going to go light. See how my marker is tilted? And then now bend it to create that stick. And I stop here because this is where I'm going to do, I like the letter O, but it's going to be an R. So again, that practice stroke. Stop. Create your loop. Stop. Also, if you guys have any question, Krista will be there to kind of stop me, and then she'll ask the question because I'm having a hard time kind of trying to read and then do this at the same time. But please do let me know if I'm going a little too fast for you. I have a tendency to do that. So we'll just loop this one down, stop there, because we're going to add our W. We'll make this W a little fancy. I'm going to overstretch it here. It's kind of like creating that loop, and do that. And then one thing I like to do, because I don't always make my letters perfect the first time, and you don't have to worry about that because it can just always come back, and that's kind of just, you know, shade on over the part that you feel like you've weren't perfect. So you kind of just go over through that. All right. So just cleaning up my lines in here. There's no shame in doing that. You don't have to get it right or perfect the first time because practice doesn't really make perfect. It only makes things better. So basically that's the rainbow. Right. Okay, so what do you use if you do not have markers that do not smear with water? Thank you, Sandy. Basically, do not smear with water. The Pitt Artist pens, these are archival pens. So these are waterproof pens, and that's why this is what we're going to do. Because these are not going to smear with the watercolor pencil. So that's one important thing to remember. If you're going to be working with water, anything, any medium that will use water, watercolor markers, you know, the gelatos, watercolors, plain watercolors, and then a watercolor pencils, it is very important to use a marker, a pen that is archival, that is not going to bleed or smear with your colors, because that is the last thing you need is for that to happen. You created your beautiful lettering and then you start coloring and then everything just smears and everything just gets ruined. So yeah, let's not do that. Okay. So make sure you have archival pens. Pitt Artists are really, really great at that. Okay, so now I'm going to grab some watercolor pad. I'm sorry, watercolor pad. I will be using a Strathmore. I got this from Michaels. You can get this from Michaels. Comes in different sizes. This one is just the 5.5 by 8.5. So basically here, so I created this rainbow for you guys to see. Also, another good practice to start doing when you're working with watercolors, you want to make sure you have 2 bowls of water. So basically you want to just get your brush really clean, and then the other to get it really thoroughly clean, because sometimes it doesn't get clean right away. And also it depends on how dirty the water gets, you know? So make sure you just have 2 bowls of water in there. Okay, so let me just start that over so you guys can see. Okay. I love using these pencils. They are absolutely amazing. These are artist quality watercolor pencils. Light fast, it means that your artwork will last and you can show your grandparents. I mean, when you're a grandparent, you can show your grandkids someday that, you know, see what I used to do, because they're going to last. And if you love to journal like me, I would love to keep my journal forever, you know, for the next generation, you know, to see and to read. Maybe someday my kids would love to read my thoughts and all that. So unfortunately, Dawn, no, it's not from Michael's. That one I purchased somewhere else, but it's really perfect for watercoloring. So when I saw it, I'm like, oh, I need that one. So it was perfect. But you don't have to use a fancy dish like that. You can just get 2 bowls of water and just clean it that way. Got lucky really with this one. Okay, so we're just gonna go through the basics first. Basically, the Faber-Castell Albert Durer, it's really hard to say sometimes, watercolor pencils. So these are really watercolors. Okay, you can use them as a colored pencil too, just the plain colored pencils. But basically, I'm going to show you something that's super fun. You can actually dip it in the water just a little bit, just to activate the pigments that are in here. Or you can use your brush to kind of just wet your brush and pick up some colors directly from the pen this way. Look how pretty that is. That's super pretty already. So you can do that. Pick up the colors directly from the pencil, or you can wet the pencil just to kind of activate those pigments in there and apply it also directly onto the paper. And then use your brush pen to pick up those pigments and then spread them along your page. Remember, if you want intensity of colors more saturated, then the less water you want to use. The reason why I love this Faber-Castell water brush pen, because it has a very consistent water flow. I have used some other water brush before, and it would just I always end up with a puddle of water on my page, and it gets really, really frustrating when that happens. Okay, maybe Krista can find the link to the water brush also and share it here in the chat. So basically, it's just a water brush. And what I love about this one also is how you can get water from here. The ones before that I've used basically have to go to the faucet, let the water run, and then kind of, you know, get the water from there. But this time it's just like what you said, it's like a syringe. Basically, you get that, and you have this part here where you just pull, and basically you're pulling the water. And there you have your water. Pretty fun, pretty easy, no mess, no fuss. Love that one. Okay, so we did that over there. And then this time we're just going to create a rainbow so you can see it. So as a colored pencil, it looks amazing. You can do that. And then you can blend the colors by activating it with water. So we have the water brush. See, what I like to do when I'm blending, when I'm creating gradients, is that I like to start the end of where I lay down the colors. Okay, and then kind of move the pigments this way until I go in the middle where the 2 colors would meet. And I kind of stop in there and then let those water just kind of work their way into the pigments. And then I'll start in the other color. And then this one, create this gradient. And we're creating a pretty ombre in here. And then you're going to see the colors would blend like magic. And very little do you need from this because this is really rich in color. So I'm going to just kind of move this over so you guys can see. Go really close. Hold on one second and let's do the instant focus. And let's try this. If the camera will pick it. There we go. See those colors? How pretty. I just love how they blend. Super pretty. The colors are so rich in pigment. It's just, it amazes me how saturated those colors. And these are like, you would think they're just colored pencils, but they're just, I love it. Okay, so now how are we going to create the rainbow? You can do it in two ways, actually. I'm having a hard time going in focus. Hold on one second. There we go. Thank you very much. Okay, so what I like to do is I like to do a little kind of like a hack, basically, because it might be hard for you. You might not get enough control to create it with just the colored pencils alone, but we're going to do both, and you're going to see how you can create it both ways so that you always have the option. Okay, so what did we learn with the brush lettering? Because this is just a regular mono script, right? Just a letter R. So how can we turn this letter R into a brush lettering? So what we've learned is that the upstroke is thin. Going down towards your body is the downstroke. So what you're going to do is go to the right of that line, like that. And then go over here. Yes, Olivia, yes, absolutely, you can do that. I'm just going to add another line here because this is my downstroke. So this is supposed to be a thicker stroke, right? And so this is what you call a faux calligraphy. And we also did a workshop about the faux calligraphy that you can find on Michael's YouTube channel. So I want to create an ombre here first. So I want to start with my dark color, which is the pink, and I want to add some orange on top. And I love that this is a colored pencil form, because what I can do is I can really get in the over there in those corners, and I have better control of my colors and how much colors I'm going to apply. So here we have the orange. Let's add an orange here. We're going to create that gradient orange first before we start doing our rainbow lettering. So we can start learning the blending first. And this is what we're going to do. So I want to start with the orange. And then use your water brush to pick up those pigments and start moving them. That. On the other side, while I still have orange on my brush. And what you can do is, if you have a paper towel, basically just clean the tip of your brush pen there. And then this one, you can apply a little pressure and push in there, but try to be careful so you don't push too much and you don't end up with puddles of water. So, and then I'm going to go pick up my pink and then do the same thing. If you feel like you're having too much water, having a paper towel next to you is very, very useful, because you can just, kind of like damp your brush in there and then get rid of the excess water if you feel like you're getting too much. So just do that. And then move the colors together. So you create a very clean gradient and blending. So basically for the rainbow lettering, what we're going to do is do the same process that we're doing here, but we're just going to use the rainbow colors, right? I just wanted to show you the blend. Now, the hack that I'm talking about is that I'm going to use my Faber-Castell Pitt Artist. Again, what did we learn? That this is archival and this is waterproof. So we can use this one and create the base for our letter And so this way we're going to have those thin and thick already by just applying pressure in our pen. You can always thicken strokes if you feel like they're a little thin for your taste, and just add here and there. And we're going to repeat the same process. We add the orange first. So we'll add the orange on top. This time the gradient will be so much better because we'll have the orange and the pink all over this letter. And then I'm going to add orange here. So this is going to depend on the look that you want for your gradient. So let your imagination run wild. Choose your colors. I'm going to choose pink over here. Just put up there. So this way you already have this thin and thick by just using the Pitt Artist. I feel much better with my strokes. It looks more natural than the faux calligraphy. And also I have thicker strokes where I can apply more colors in there. So I'm just gonna wet that real quick. This time I'm going to start with the color pink. Just use the tip of my brush pen, kind of pick up those pigments and start moving them around. And this is where you want to just kind of be in the moment and take your time. Don't rush things like that. And so while I have pink in my brush, I just want to go over the pink parts first and kind of activate those pigments that way. And then you go up and then pick up these colors as well. So this will be a personal preference. Which one do you guys like? Do you like the look of the faux calligraphy? Or do you like this one where we lay down the first base color using the Pitt Artist pen? Right, and then this time I'm going to pick up the oranges. And just start moving them around, and I'll start moving the pink. Kind of let those two colors meet and blend. All right, and then do the same thing here. Kind of move my pink around to meet with the orange here. And I'll move the oranges like this. How pretty cool is that, huh? I love using this technique when I'm doing some lettering because it's just really super simple to create those gradient and blended look. And also with the watercolor style. I just love that watercolor look, that diffused, it's kind of like you don't get the same result um, every single time, because I think that's what's the beauty of watercolor is that it's like it's so hard to get the same result each time. Everything feels like so random, and it's so forgiving as well. So if you feel like you have like less colors in where the two colors meet, you can just move those pigments around and just let them blend more naturally. And so just kind of pick up the colors, move them around like that with the water brush. And then you create that gradient look. See how pretty that is. Yeah, I can't decide sometimes too. I also love the look of the faux calligraphy. But my problem with this is sometimes I get too thin. And so if this was me, I would probably just add a little bit more to just thicken out these areas. And so this is where, oops, smear that one. And so this is where having a colored pencil as a watercolor really helps because you get enough control to create those strokes and those lines. All right, so before we run out of time, let's go and start doing the whole rainbow. Fun part. So if you don't have the water brush, you can always use just a regular brush, really. If you have a thinner, a small tip brush, then you can always use that. You know, I have here some brush pens like this. And so you can just use the water from your bowl and just, make sure that your brush is wet enough and picks up enough water so you can move around the pigments and all that. So I know this is super relaxing. And this is where really it gets to be it's so helpful with my mental health as well, because I feel like when I'm creating something, when I'm doing something creative, but especially with watercolors, I feel like I really get into a Zen mode. So forgive me if sometimes I get super silent and not talk, because it's like getting into that moment where I forget everything and I'm just so in the moment here and just kind of moving those pigments around, watching them blend. I love watercolors and how they work that way. Okay, so let's write the word rainbow with the Pitt artist. And so going up, thick. So I'll add this one. Pressure, really light.
Lay, can you tell us what color name you're using right now?
Yes, ma'am. This is the light indigo 220. And after a while, the more you practice with brush lettering, you're going to learn techniques where, you have, it's called bounce lettering. And maybe we can create a workshop all about the bounce lettering as well, because it's really a fun way to do some creative lettering and stuff like that. Bounce lettering basically is just having different height for your letters. I know you guys can't see it very well because it's really, really light, but it's supposed to be that way because basically we're going to use the colored pencils to color these in. And so that's why we're going to use light, because we don't want that base to affect the colors that we're going to use. So this is the light indigo 220 and the brush Pitt artist pen. Okay, so I'm going to pick my colors. So not very, I'm not a big fan of the red. So we're going to use pink instead. It's like, okay, I need pink. And then let's use an orange. Sometimes I like to use two different values of the same color. You get the deeper pink or the deeper orange. Same family, but you're just getting two different values. One is just sometimes three. I use even three sometimes to get like really deep, darkest, and then a medium, and then the lightest color. So we have green over here. I just picked out two value of the same color, and then we have blue, one. And then we have violet. And then we have the indigo blue, which is super similar. Okay, so let's start with the pink one. And I'm going to start with the dark pink. And I'm just gonna go over here and apply my colors, just like using a colored pencil. Going one stroke after the other. Okay, and then I'm going to apply the lighter shade of pink. I think doing it this way will just give me a better gradient when it comes to meeting the orange color, blending with the orange. So I guess having that darker pink and then the light pink to go with the orange that we're going to use. I think it's going to give me a better result that way. But again, a personal preference. You can just use, you know, the different colors of the rainbow, and that's going to be okay also. So tip when using your colored pencils, when you're going to go in the corners and want to get a fine tip, you want to make sure that you use the tip of your colored pencil and also make sure to always sharpen them. It really helps a lot. And so I'm going to go, oh, that's not the deep orange. This is the deep orange. So I'm just going to add those colors in. That already will create the gradient there, pretty gradient because we mixed two colors together. So let's just add them. Now I want to add pink over here because basically we have the pink on this side. So usually I would do this a little careful, but I want to make sure we finish the rainbow before we run out of time. So we have there, then we're going to use our yellow for the orange. So this is a little bit darker yellow here. And then leave a little bit of light here. Okay. Make sure you color every area where you see those markers in because you want to cover those. All right. And then I'm going to go in the dark yellow. And here's another thing that you can use also. You can use your Faber-Castell Pitt Artist and create this just by using watercolors as well. But I love using the colored pencils because this way, see how much control I have um, with my colors and with my strokes. Sometimes with watercolors, I love using the regular watercolors, but um, sometimes it's harder to control the brush, picking up colors from the pan and then applying them. Sometimes I get too much water, sometimes I don't, or sometimes I get too much color, sometimes too much water. So, you know, it's very, I think I feel like this one I get consistent results when I'm using the colored pencils because I know how much colors to put in here and know that, you know, I'm getting the same exact amount of colors in here rather than using the regular watercolor. I'm just going to mix the two greens in here. Feel like the lighter color will be better when meeting with the yellow. And then I'll go dark where the colors will meet. And then go apply the light again. All right. So we have the yellow, yellow. You know what? I forgot. Let me apply a little bit of orange in here where the two colors will meet, just so we have. And you're going to see this blended in just a little bit, and it's going to look super duper pretty. We have the green. I want to add just a little bit more green in here where the blue will meet. And we're going to use the light blue first. Like that. And go dark over there. And I'm just following along the strokes that we created using the Pitt Artist. Just super careful with those strokes. That. And then I'll go a little bit lighter blue. So you can switch between your light and your dark that way. Super careful. And this is one good thing about this colored pencil, because I can go really careful with my strokes. I know this is really pretty. Let's see. Phthalo blue, so 110, pretty color. This one is the light ultramarine, super pretty color. Let me apply more of that. Now we'll use our light purple first. And light violet. We're gonna have an extra color. What do you think we should do with that? I'm gonna apply this on top of the blue in there. We're gonna get pretty gradient there later when we blend that with water. Go really use my tip when creating the strokes, especially the upstroke. So kind of like flickering my colored pencil like this way. It will just give me that thinner strokes, and that will be composed with the thin strokes will fill those colors, but I'm being careful also. So when using a flickering motion going up slightly, and then that way you're building up your colors, your pigments one at a time as well. See, this is what I'm doing kind of here also, just going over that stroke that we created with the markers, carefully just going over it. All right. Okay, and so I want to do it here. Maybe just create another shade of purple in here before we start. That shade, that value of purple maybe, because we're going to do the indigo. We have one extra letter there. So I think I'm going to do that. So just a different shade of that purple. So this one is magenta, 133. And am I right, Krista, that this is also available in open stock? Colored pencils that we
You
have?
can buy any of the Albrecht Durer watercolor pencils as just a single color, yes.
Oh yeah, that's pretty awesome. So you guys can just, if you don't want to invest in, the whole 120 or the 60 sets, what you can do is just basically invest in just the rainbow colors first, let's say. And then move along from there. Slowly adding up and building your collection so you don't have to get the whole colors right away. Okay, then we're going to go to the indigo, but I'm going to use the phthalo blue as well here. Just kind of let it settle blue first before we get to the dark. And this alone is super pretty because you can just blend in those colors together also. So this alone could really, we can just stop here and just blend away and meet those, let those two colors meet by just using the same colors. But we want that watercolor effect in here. So that's what we're going to do. So using a deeper blue, we're trying to get that indigo blue. Really dark. What you can also do is, if you want to create, I'm going to show you that later. If you want to create just a very light part of your lettering, what you can do is leave those area without colors. And what you can do is just move those pigments and then having no color in there, but just water. The colors are, basically what you did is diffuse those colors, the pigments, with water. So basically that's also creating a very natural gradient in between those colors, because you just move the pigments and created a lighter value of that color. So again, if you want it more saturated, then use less water. Don't spread the water to the colors too much or the pigments too much. Or if you want it really diffuse, then you're going to use more water. And I think that's what I love about watercolors is because you don't have to get a whole lot of color right away. You can always play around with the values by just learning and experimenting how much water to use in your artwork. Okay, so this is going to be the fun stuff. Let's just show you real quick how we can also use this by just using a regular brush. So I'm just getting it wet, make sure that I have enough water here in my brush. The thing that the reason why it's not my favorite to use is because it depends on your brush how much water it holds. So that sometimes really differ. And that's why I love using the water brushes because there is already enough water that is flowing from this brush pen. And I know that I am picking up and moving colors by just moving along. With this one, I'm going to have to, keep on dipping if I have enough water or not enough water picked up. Okay, but this time we're just going to use this one because this one just works so much faster and easier for me. We're going to I started moving the deeper shade of pink. And this time I'm going to pick up the pigments from the light pink. Just kind of move them along like this. So you're going to see those pigments kind of like move. That one is a size 4. There we go. And when you're going through the thin strokes, make sure you just kind of like take your time. So don't be in a rush so that you don't end up with some mistake. And I've learned that the hard way. I feel like I'm always rushing through everything. So oh, I love it. I love the gradient look. So this time I'm moving our orange. Just kind of left it there. And then I have a paper towel on my side, cleaning my brush. And then I'm going to pick those pink in there and move them. Isn't this super relaxing, you guys? This is super relaxing. Every time I do this, I feel like a kid again. And it's also really a great bonding moment. If you're a mom like me, I love doing some creative projects like this with my 10-year-old. She loves doing lettering and stuff like that because um, she sees me do it all the time. And when they see you doing something you love, they just pick it up and it becomes just second nature to them. So they're going to do this also when they grow up and they feel like, they don't have to be bored. They don't have to be always on their phone. You can create a hobby and really enjoy doing it. And when they see you having fun, I'm telling you, they're going to pick up that hobby and they're going to do it also. It's like a pattern, building a pattern with the kids. So I'm just moving my colors around and kind of going to my paper towel and then taking out those excess colors that I don't want to move and just pick up again. So really, really important to have, scratch paper or baby wipes, but I love just using paper towel. And then I'll pick up the yellows and I'll just start moving around those pigments and the colors. Just take your time, one stroke at a time is what I like to say. Clean up my colors. I have the deeper yellow in here. Just move it along with the green. Oh, I love seeing the two colors just blend together like that. It's just super fun. I also want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you so much. This means a lot to us that you're here. And we hope that really everyone's doing well and healthy, of course. And I know that all of you are in great spirits because you're here today trying to learn something and, doing something creative. It's really always a plus in my book. There we go. We're going to pick up the blue and just kind of let those two colors meet. And of course, in color theory, the rainbow colors, they will go well. And who doesn't want to create rainbow colors? What is happening? Now looking back at it, I wish I used maybe a teal color in here, maybe a darker aqua, but really that's what we're creating and combining the green and the blue. But since I have like an extra letter for a color, maybe I would have, now looking back at that, I would have probably used a deeper aqua in there. And then let that aqua meet with the blue as well. But again, with practice, and the more you do it, the more you feel like, oh, you know what? Yeah, next time I do that, I'm going to do it this way. So the more you do this, it's going to come. I think you're going to do it differently each and every single time because you feel like you're going to add up to the knowledge that you've learned, the lesson that you've learned from the last time you did it. I know I do it every single time. It's like, oh, you know what? I can do this. I can add this. I can create this. And it's just really the more you do things, it's like it keeps building up all these knowledge and information in your head. But that's when also kind of like confusion comes in because you want to do everything. You just want to do all the hobbies. It's okay. I'm not going to stop you because it's good. Because I would rather do something creative than have an idle mind. Ooh, this is super pretty. The purple, the violet color is super, super pretty. All right, let's see what the magenta is going to look like. I'm kind of a little scared. So we'll see. Oops, I got a little too much water. So color theory. We'll see if it will blend with the indigo real well. We're going to find out. I'm gonna get rid of that too much magenta and I'm gonna just start blending it with the violet here. So if you feel like you have too much of that color, all you got to do is pick up those pigments and kind of like just get rid of them by cleaning your brush and the paper towel or your baby wipes, whatever you're using. Not bad, really pretty actually. But this is it, guys. This is how you create the rainbow. And then you can create so much by using the colored pencils. You can create like your own pattern papers. If you're using, if you're doing some mixed media, these are great mixed media items that you can use in your journal. I love doing mixed media when I'm scrapbooking. So I love using this because like what I said, I get consistent result every time rather than just using the watercolors because I know how much colors I'm really laying down in here because I have better control of the colored pencils. This is super pretty. I am super happy with this result. Oh, and so here we only used the last indigo color. But see, we can create gradients like this because basically what I'm doing is I'm just picking up the colors and like putting them away, moving them. And so here we create a natural gradient by just using one color for the letter W. See? Um, Happy Planner, I think you can. I really think you can, but that's where the water brush will come in because I think what's going to happen is you won't get too much water. You won't accidentally get too much water. And also by using the colored pencils, like what I said, I think you have better control of how much colors you're going to use. Can you imagine just creating your headers if you're doing bullet journals like myself? You can create like, pretty strokes in your journals like that by just using the colored pencils this way. And you're creating so much. You can create so much. You can create banners. You can create like tiny little hearts and then in rainbow colors. And so basically what you did was you just created yourself your own background or pattern paper. There's no limit really, because the only limit here is your imagination. So the more you experiment with your tools, I always say this, and I can't say it enough, experiment, experiment, experiment. Use your tools. The more you use it, the more you're going to find out ways how to use them. You feel like, oh, I can actually use this creating this way, this way, this way. So the more you use them, the more things you're going to find out. So I'm just picking up the colors from magenta. I feel like I want to add up some depth to my pink over here. And so I'm just going to do this because I feel like I need a little bit of depth of color, like darker shade. So you saw me I kind of like picked up colors directly from the pencil. Okay, I feel like I have too much color now, so clean out those colors and just kind of dip in the water just real quick. And this way I'm going to spread, oops, too much water. Now the colors to the orange. There we go, that's what we have. Now for the last part, this is going to be fun. Yes, that's right. Don't forget to download your template because the word rainbow is in there, so you can practice and practice. And you're going to see the difference from the thin and the thick, and then just practice, 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 and you'll get this one. Okay, so this is the fun part. See our water brush, right? So I'm just going to clean it, make sure that I don't have different colors in there. How do we create splatters? And this is super fun. When I'm creating with acrylic paints, I love to use a toothbrush and just kind of go like that. But it gets messy. It gets all over my my desk, and it's like it gets super messy and it gets frustrating sometimes. So here we're just going to use our pencil and our water brush. And basically, I'm just going to go like this and create those pretty splatters. So use the pink. Now I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to grab the orange and I'm going to zoom in real later so you guys can really see. Oh, this is fun. It's like being a kid, making a mess. Good thing I'm the mom here. No one's going to get mad at me. So just be mindful where your splatters are going, how big and all that. It's going to depend on the pressure and how much flicker you're going to create with your brush. Just kind of make that flicker like that, and then clean your brush in between. I'm going to do the same thing, and then now pick up the green. I'm just going to create these tiny splatters in here. This is super, super fun. So like if you're using your happy planner when you're planning, you can actually create the splatters, and this is your background. Can you imagine having that rainbow background? That's pretty. And then it's not going to be too watery as well. Everything's more controlled because you're going to see it. The more you do it, you're going to see how much colors you're picking up and all that. So I'm going to use the light blue. And I feel like I want more pink over there on the other side. Like this. And blue. I'm going to add just the pink. I need more pink over here. Super pretty. But that's it, you guys. We just created a happy rainbow mess over here. So we've learned so much today. We've learned about the basic of the letterings, brush lettering, but this is super fun. Thank you guys for joining us. People who joined through Facebook Live, hello and thank you. I hope that you learned something today. I hope that, this was helpful for all of you. My name is Leigh Ralston. You can find me online at Mommy Leigh. And also please, please don't forget to follow Faber-Castell USA on Instagram. And also their blog is full of inspiration, how to use their products and how to be creative and infuse creativity in your everyday life. And we want to thank, of course, Michaels for hosting this workshop, fun workshops all the time. Make sure to visit their YouTube page because they have lots of our past workshop available in there. And this is also going to be available and will be posted maybe tomorrow. But thank you for joining us, guys. Thank you. And we love you all. Until next time, stay creative and stay happy. Thank you, everyone.